Last time, we looked at a few machine types from the Sacred Lands, and this time, we're looking at 3 more. First, we have the Grazer, a deer-like machine that can mostly be encountered in packs, huddled together as they till the earth with their spinning rotor blade antlers. Grazers are typically very weak and don't pose much of a threat. Though Grazers don't have any specific weakness, they are greatly damaged when they lose parts due to tear ammo. Grazers are often surrounded by other machines, such as Watchers or Sawtooths, but they can be separated from their protectors easily because of their skittish behavior. Lobbing an explosive near them or hitting one in a pack with any type of ammo will alert the others and send them all running. This can make things a little tedious when you're trying to fight them. Grazers are incredibly docile machines, like Striders, and are just as likely to run when approached. Grazers are one of the least likely to notice you from a distance since they often have their heads to the ground turning up the soil. A Grazer's biggest weakness is the grouping of 4 blaze canisters on its back, which can easily be removed with a tear arrow. Their antlers can also be knocked off with tear ammo, but the blaze canisters are much more valuable, and since Grazers tend to run even after being attacked, it's easy to collect their parts after you've knocked them off. Hitting a Grazer's blaze canister with blaze ammo will cause an explosion, affecting itself and any nearby machines. But if you want to collect those blaze canisters, it's best to stick to tear ammo. In combat, Grazers have little more than a charging attack that is easily telegraphed and avoided. Grazers can be overridden once you complete the Sigma Cauldron, but they're pretty much useless in a fight. Their weak attacks, combined with their low health, make them short-lived on the battlefield. Next up is the Sawtooth, a medium-sized machine reminiscent of a saber-toothed tiger, hence the name. Sawtooths generally hunt alone around packs of other machines, but can sometimes be found in small groups. Sawtooths pose the first real challenge in the game as they are the most aggressive early machines you'll encounter. Sawtooths are particularly aggressive, but they are one of the first machines to have an overall weakness, in this case, to fire. Sawtooths come equipped only with melee attacks, but they will string several of these attacks together to close distance and become very dangerous. Hitting them from a distance with fire arrows is recommended since it builds up their fire gauges rather quickly. But they have a secondary weakness that makes them vulnerable up close. Sawtooths are extremely susceptible to shock traps and tripwires, going down after making contact with just one shock wire. This disables them for some time, opening them up to critical attacks and overrides. Disabling a Sawtooth is ideal for hitting the blaze canister on its stomach, as hitting the canister with blaze ammo will cause an explosion that instantly fills their fire gauge and deals a ton of damage. Some Sawtooths have a protective shield on their canister, but that is easily dealt with by using tear ammo. If you unlock the Knockdown perk, Sawtooths will get stunned after a single heavy melee attack. This makes taking them on with just a spear a very viable method. Sawtooths are also overridden after getting the Sigma override, and they are invaluable resources for tougher fights, especially against other Sawtooths. Since there are a variety of easy methods to make a Sawtooth vulnerable to overrides, stealth, shock, and knockdown, it should make disrupting larger groups of machines easy with just a single Sawtooth. With their destructive melee attacks and wealth of HP, Sawtooths are great early game allies. And if you watch a Sawtooth for long enough, it has these neat little idle animations. Lastly, we have Shellwalkers, smaller machines with little cargo containers on their back that make them look like hermit crabs. Shellwalkers have 2 claw-like appendages that each serve a different purpose in combat, one that shoots lightning and another that generates an energy shield. They can attack from a distance with lightning shots and up close with melee swipes and an electrical area attack. Unsurprisingly, Shellwalkers have a general resistance to shock ammo and should be hit with just about anything else. Shellwalkers coordinate in convoys of mostly Watchers, but can also be found in packs of 4 or more. Fighting a Shellwalker usually comes down to one thing: whether or not you want the cargo on its back. A Shellwalker's cargo is held up by a 3-pronged crate holder around the back. Trying to remove the cargo with tear ammo is not a good way to go, as a single hit from a good damage arrow directly on the holder is enough to make it drop. If the cargo is damaged too much or not knocked off of the Shellwalker before it dies, you can't loot it for its contents. Even after the container is knocked off, it can still be damaged beyond repair if you aren't careful. Sometimes, if a Shellwalker still has its lightning claw, it'll try to pick its cargo back up and hold it in place with the claw itself. This will essentially disable shock attacks from the machine since it'll be too busy holding up its cargo. When fighting a Shellwalker, however, you should focus on removing its claws to disable its shields and its melee or shock attacks. You can knock both claws off with tear ammo, and once you knock them both off, it will exclusively resort to its area of effect shock attack. There's also a power generator underneath that can disable all of its primary attacks if it's destroyed, but since it's a little hard to hit, taking off the claws works better. Try to keep a reasonable distance from a Shellwalker because a melee battle with it will likely not end well. To override a Shellwalker, you must complete the Row Cauldron, but once you do, Shellwalkers are formidable allies. They can hurl lightning attacks from a distance or hit enemies with their 3-strike melee combos to do a ton of damage. Just like the other 3 machines we saw, the Grazer, Sawtooth, and Shellwalker are covered in markings showing which cauldron they belong to. It's a little hard to see the symbols on a Shellwalker, but Sawtooths are absolutely covered in Sigma symbols. Next time, we'll investigate the last batch of machines who make their homes throughout the Nora homelands.